So here we are, 9 episodes down.
It's over.
You were introduced to one of my favorite stories of all time, which is The Last of Us, and 9 beautiful episodes of. I mean, how long has it been since we've watched a pilot season of something to where it was like week after week, banger after banger after banger?
Like, I couldn't even tell you off the top of my head everything we've watched here. Not a thing I could be like, you know what? After episode 1, I was
Hooked.
I have a couple things that obviously that they could have did better.
And we'll get in that in
Absolutely.
here in a minute. Yeah.
But from face value of you played the game, someone who did not play the game, I don't think I have seen a better piece of television.
And it was such a good adaptation, which you wouldn't know because you didn't play. But my God, this is the blueprint for how you adapt a video game.
It pleased the gamer.
It did. And it also pleased the show-onlys.
Yes.
And it's crazy. It was just a slam dunk of a show that I do have faults with.
Absolutely.
Definitely. I do have faults. We'll get into that.
Is it perfect, but are they just blemishes we overlook?
Episode 3 of The Last of Us is one of my favorite episodes of television in my entire life that I've ever seen.
Got 11 out of 10.
With Bill and Frank. It's almost impossibly good how good that episode was.
A great casting.
I could have watched a season of their relationship.
Oh my God, I could have too.
Like a whole spin-off of Bill and Frank. That's all I want.
Start from like when they met,
and
I want to see like, hey, a year passed, 2 years passed.
And some of the actual downsides where the clickers actually came in and they actually had to fend for themselves, but and defend their homestead, which is a beautiful place.
They made a life.
It was
in Armageddon.
Yep, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. And Nick Offerman, I swear to God, if you don't like him as an actor,
something's wrong with you.
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
He has had, now, granted, he's never been like the true lead of a show, but whatever character and whatever he's touched,
bodies it so well.
My God, he gets into it. You believe every second of it. And we've seen his range of comedy to serious to this. And it's everything he does. I'm just very happy with it. And the only thing, one of the mad things we spoke about in that episode when we reviewed it was he was only in the show for one episode.
And speaking of great actors, Pedro Pascal as Joel knocked it out of the park. I could not have asked for any more than what he gave. And Bella Ramsey as Ellie.
I know people hated her.
Knocked
they didn't
out
love
of the park.
But I'm with you.
They both did a fantastic job.
Never seen better.
And they are, to me now, the on-screen versions of these characters.
I believe that they're real friends in real life. Like, the bond that they showed on screen, I swear to God, how do you do that for a 45-minute episode and 9-episode season? How do you build that to where, like, yeah, that's his daughter. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And apparently on set, they had a very good chemistry.
And it's
evident.
You can see it. Absolutely.
Yeah, you definitely see it.
I don't know. Now, like, talking about all this, the one fault, like, honestly, the most blatant fault, not enough clickers.
Okay, that's one for me.
That's it.
And I think it's because the budget wasn't as high as Season 2 will be.
We had to test the waters.
They already said Season 2 will have many more clickers.
Because when we did get the clickers, it was intense, it was quick, and they were vicious.
It was horror-filled.
Like, when you were with Kathleen, and when they came out of the ground, that was intense.
Yeah, that was the best action sequence of the season. Another complaint I have, the action sequences were the worst part of the show.
As in, what do you mean?
The action sequences of the show, all of them, were the weakest part to me of the whole show. I thought a lot of them, like when Riley had died, it was very cliche.
Right.
A lot of the action sequences felt very contrived. And I felt like it was, from a storytelling perspective, the weakest link.
Okay.
Right? Like I could point to holes that didn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And not all, there were too few of them, and the ones we did get, they were, to me, the weakest part of the show.
So if there was more of them and they kind of like,
I feel like they should have come in from a different angle with the action sequences. Yeah, a little bit.
I mean, because there weren't many, really.
No, there weren't, no.
This was like a first like apocalyptic show. Like, I'm going to keep comparing it to Walking Dead.
You have to almost.
That really the clickers, zombies didn't really even play a major part. They were there, but even the people didn't play that major of a part. Like to where like the people become the biggest enemy in these scenarios.
As always, humans are the worst enemy.
Yes, there are some shitty people out there, but this was really just watching a bond form. And, like, yes, they had purpose. Yes, they were going to save the world. But really, it was just watching Joel and Ellie grow together. And I think that's what made the show so much better, is because we look at shows when we grade them. Did it hit you emotionally and, like, to the next level to where you felt that connection?
Yeah.
And I don't think a show that I've seen in the last couple years has done that.
No, and when Ellie killed David and she came out of there and Joel embraced her and said, you know,
we knew she changed.
I got you, baby girl.
Yep.
That was like, man, you talk about hitting the feels.
Yeah.
That was a feel moment right there.
She went through some stuff.
Their relationship is, the arcs they both went on were tremendous.
Yeah.
Both separately and together. They were both tremendous.
And other than that, like, I don't think, you know, we watched the reviews as we went through every episode and to see what they were getting rated. Very limited, anything like low. I don't think of anything besides, like you said, the action scenes, which could have been more plentiful. But I know if that's what you said they're saying about season 2, it'll be there.
Yeah, it will.
And I know it will be, because you had this pilot. My God. I don't think, like, how do you earn more money for your next season? You do something like this.
And there was a sequence in the very beginning of the show, episode 1 or episode 2, where they got the mycologist.
Yes. Oh, yeah. The intro.
They interviewed her, and she basically alluded to how big of a deal this was, and how she was telling the military, bomb me and you and everyone else in this entire city.
How do you win?
And kill all of us right now. It was so well done, and it painted a picture for, even though the clickers weren't a part of it as much, it was always this underlying threat that you always knew has a possibility of popping off. And I think that was almost powerful enough to carry the entire season.
That fear.
Yeah, the fear.
The fear that they had. Now, I do think I would have liked a little more of the 5-minute past, like when they talked to her. And they showed clips of the world prior that linked to it. I would have liked a little more of that.
I wish every episode before the credits rolled told a mini story.
2 minutes,
2 or 3 minute mini story. And just to, like, give you a little bit of context, and it would have been a perfect place to place clickers into the show without them being prominent 20 some odd years later.
And even with, like, you could have saw a glimpse of, like, David.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah.
Or, like,
to any of the side characters.
You could have saw him and be like, oh, he is kind of a bad person. Oh, well, he's changed. And kind of, like, make you believe that a little more. There were some things that they could have did, but that's like, okay, what are we doing? Like,
we're splitting hairs.
We want to change the color of that rug over there. Like, okay, big deal. Like, you know, we walked in the door.
To Layman's Review?
I mean, I couldn't even guess what it's going to be, but sure.
3, 2, 1. It's an S.
I warned him. If he put anything other than this, he would not be sitting in this chair right now. Because I would have did this by myself. And I would have sat here for 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and just talked about the show as to myself and you. But I'm glad you were able to sit in this chair.
It's an S.
This has been the best show that I have watched probably since we've started this.
Wow.
It was great. Even the downs. Fuck it. Who cares? Yeah, it was down. Okay, great.
Yeah, you had one episode that you could have done without, which was the Riley episode.
Just because if we had 12 episodes, I would have loved it.
And I definitely agree with you there.
Yep.
The run, another bad part of the show was bad part. It wasn't long enough. We had
the fluctuation of episodes.
It wasn't enough episodes.
Yep.
And each episode could have been an hour and 20 minutes by themselves.
Give me an hour flat, no commercials. Don't give me a 45-minute block and say that's like, hey, this is where commercial. No.
You're on the spot. You playing the game?
Oh, yeah. I have it ready.
You're going to play it?
I have it ready.
I wish I could give you my PS5 so that way you could play the remastered version.
See, the best way.
Oh, my God. I want to replay part 1 just because, honestly, Ryan, it might look better than this show. I kind of believe that. It's that good.
Like, I've seen clips of it because you see, like, with the show going around, you see clips comparing.
Yeah.
And, like, when you see the character in the show and versus the character and thing, it looks pretty damn good.
And I'm going right into part 2. I haven't played it yet. All these years, I waited.
No better time now.
I'm going into
it
now.
You've played. You've watched part 1. And now, do you know what I read? That this was supposed to be a movie years ago.
So glad it wasn't.
Me too. I was like,
glad.
Woo! dodge that bullet.
Yeah, Hollywood would have got their hands on this
and ruined it, and this would have never existed.
What if Joel was kind of an asshole, and what if Ellie kind of was just way different than in the game?
Rebellious teen that, you know, just
and what if they weren't clickers, but, oh, God, Hollywood, boy.
And everybody's like, oh, yeah, let's do The Last of Us without clickers. Yeah, great idea. Got it. Let's go.
You know, have you ever watched The Walking Dead? What if we just redo that?
With mushrooms.
Is Rick Grimes anywhere? Can we get him, please? Like, anyway,
that's what's scary.
That was Last of Us Season 1. It was a masterpiece, and I don't use that word lightly.
No.
It was a masterpiece, just like it was 10 years ago when I originally played the game.
And it's crazy that it was 10 years ago. Yeah, like, I'm just really, like, I'm not a huge gamer, but, like, I'm just learning. It's like, wow, this was great. And you said it was on par. This is one of the few contents that it has been. But I'm just so excited for
I
next
did
season.
like the game in totality more than the show.
Of course.
But it's only because there was so much more time.
It's like people who say they like the
characters.
books better than the movie.
Yeah.
Well, duh.
But I think that it's warranted that it was better just because they had so much more time to flesh out the characters and
Makes
the story.
sense.
And the clickers were obviously a part of the game mechanic.
Right.
So they were always there. You know, we got one bloater in this season. There were a couple bloaters throughout the game at different locations, and they were a hard thing to fight. And
see, when you were playing the game, you didn't have the time jumps like we did. We jumped 3 months. So a lot had to happen in between.
You had to walk them through that, but there was a couple time jumps in the game.
Yeah, but that was like, and I like that. I like the
severe
time jumps because I don't need to watch you walk from point A to point B.
Yeah, walking simulator.
Yeah, I don't need that. Yeah. I'm watching a farm simulator right now. And I don't like it.
Don't talk to me about Vinland Saga right now. We're going to end this video on a high note without us arguing. We agreed on an S. Do not soil this with your terrible opinion of Vinland Saga. It's amazing, by the way. Make sure you check those videos out, too. They're doing really good on the channel. As always, guys, if you like what we're doing around here, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you on the next episode of Layman's Review.